One of my most famous people ever is here today, Mikaela Hunt. Thank you so much for being here because I know I'm super curious about some things about you, and I know that everybody listens will be as well. So thank you for coming.
You're welcome, and thank you for asking me. It's so funny because I always talk about other people or other things and less about myself. So this will be interesting to be the
Well,
interviewee today.
that's true. That's true. All right, well, let's get right to it. I want to first start just kind of setting the groundwork. Give us a little background of yourself and what you are doing right now.
Yeah, so I was traditionally trained as a journalist. Went to school at the University of Missouri, specifically in their broadcast journalism program. Taught the Missouri method, which they are very, very proud of in terms of how you tell stories. And, I did that for about 17 years, I want to say in total. And so I think it was around, I can't believe this is the case. It's been 10 years since I got out of TV.
Oh, that is hard to believe.
Yeah, so 2015, the industry was changing. I don't think I fully realized it, even though I was in the midst of it for that 17-year period. I mean, you're talking about the uprising of social media and all the digital options we have for marketing and changes to websites that we didn't see coming when I first got out of college. I
100%.
mean, I created a site watch for my TV station when we got out of college, right? So you put the little URL onto the page that was for the company that you were doing the story about, and everybody thought it was like the best thing, right? Facebook was only on Harvard's campus at this point, right? So
Oh, wow.
that is when I started, that is when I graduated. So things changed a lot, and the shift in the industry, I think, is what led ultimately to the end and what they're willing, unfortunately, to pay folks now in that
Mm.
industry. And it was an unexpected shift for me, but it allowed me to think about how I could use my journalism skills in a way that would benefit businesses and organizations and even individual solopreneurs, entrepreneurs in their work. And so I started a company, and that's where I got to know you. Um,
Hmm.
and through the National Association of Women Business Owners,
Correct.
and just tried helping folks with media training, video production, and social media marketing from really organic standpoint, not the paid bit at the beginning. And I was successful doing that and really enjoyed it. And then in 2019, when office holders were changing on a state government level, I had three or four offers to come run communications for a few different
Oh,
government
wow.
agencies. And I picked the right one, just based on kind of what happened within 9 months after that. I had an offer to go work for the Department of Health. And 9 months after I started with the state, COVID happened.
Pandemic, how hard could that have been to take that job?
Right. I talked a little bit with the Attorney General's office, and I also was talking with the House of Representatives, which has seen a lot of changes over that
Absolutely.
period of time. And so Commerce really, I'm at the Department of Commerce, and it was this ability to take my vision of what I was doing for businesses and organizations and bring it to a government entity where there wasn't a lot of awareness of what we did here. A lot of
Hmm.
people thought of us as the junk drawer of state government, and there is so much more to us than that. And so today, 6 years later, I'm really, really proud of what we've built. And I really wanted to more of that, what I'll call C-suite experience, sitting as a chief communications officer here, because I had not had that, right? I'd had the newsroom environment and been a leader in the newsroom and an anchor and a producer. I'd done the business thing, and I knew I needed to really make a decision if I was going to be able to take the next step into hiring people rather than just working with contractors. And
Right.
that's a big decision.
Yes.
It's a big decision.
It's like, oh, I guess I am going to be the leader on this.
And I've interviewed some great people through the Columbus Chambers podcast, which I do on the side, CBuzz, people
Correct.
who've taken that leap. I didn't feel like I was quite ready to take that leap. So I thought this opportunity to be in kind of that C-suite role was the next best step for me. And it has been incredible. It's been an incredible growth experience. It's been an incredible results experience though too for the department. So
That
that's what
is,
I'm doing right now. And my journalism loving heart, because really and truly at heart, I am a journalist. I think there's something about public service that speaks to my journalism loving
I
heart.
would say there's a very easy line to draw between the two because it is about the storytelling and it's about people and their stories and all of that sort of stuff. And it makes absolute perfect sense.
Yeah.
And you did give us a little bit of your background, but I would like to even go further back
Okay.
because you knew you wanted to be a journalist from a young age or be that person that does that storytelling or reporting. So, what was it at a young age that kind of triggered that? What were you doing as a little child? Were you telling stories, reporting stories then, or how did this all get
What
started?
what were my parents having me watch? I think
Or
that
that.
yeah. So, I remember being a huge fan of Barbara Walters, Huey
Oh,
Downs.
like all her little celebrity interviews and things,
I was a
or
big 2020 gal at a young
yes,
age.
yes, yes,
And then also intrigued. I think Jane Pauley was on the Today Show maybe when
yes.
I was really young. But interestingly enough, and this tells you a lot about community when if you guys are, those listening are raising kids in the midst of also their career journey, right? My family was friends and had been family friends since my mom was a kid with a woman who was an anchor in my hometown.
Oh, no way.
And yeah, and so Julie Moore, who now is the mayor of my hometown,
Perfect.
um, she was kind of this role model for me, and I was always interested in what she did, and she kind of took me under her wing, to answer questions probably when I was in junior high, and ultimately I interned for her when I got into college. So I think that really gave me that community perspective
Hmm.
about storytelling and the way to do it in when I graduated in the mid 90s, or no, I'm sorry, graduated high school in the mid 90s, but in the early 2000s when I was out of college, the way to do that still at that point was local TV. Um, I was really kind of obsessed with hard news stories too as a young adult probably. I would watch, I remember like the Oklahoma City bombing and just watching the coverage of
Oh, you
that.
had to be a baby when that happened.
I mean, I was young. I
'Cause
feel
I was
like I,
young too, and you're younger than me, so you had to just be
yeah.
in
And
elementary school or even something like that.
do you remember when like the bridge collapsed in LA from the earthquake out there?
Yes,
I
yes.
was very into that coverage. So I just had this real want to connect to storytelling and getting information out to communities quickly
Hmm,
when
hmm.
crisis was going on. So that
Right,
is what
right.
that is what drew me into the work.
That there's so many different things in there that are interesting, and one is that this mentor of yours, if you will, did start in news like at the anchor desk, much like yourself, and then got into public policy of being the mayor. So that's and you kind of did the same. So there's definitely almost a scientific formula here about how politicians can be born, because it is that just that getting information out. It's about people. It's making sure that people are informed and cared for and things like that. I mean, there's definitely something just really kind of interesting about that, I
Yeah,
think.
I hadn't even really thought about that much with Julie. But yes, there definitely is something there.
Now, do you still feel like you do that? Like when you are fed information, do you feel almost like it's your responsibility to make sure that people are getting the right story or the story right and things like that? It's like I got to tell my family about XYZ and I get all the info, all the facts, and and I'm gonna share it with it as I'm delivering the news sort of thing.
So maybe not with my family because they'd be really annoyed with me.
They're like, give it a rest.
I would say I treat my work that way now, and I know the environment that we're in currently.
Hmm.
And as a journalist, I've always been very moderate in my views because I've seen everything from both sides of the aisle.
And you're driven by facts.
And
I
I
mean, and
am
I
driven
kind of
by
operate that same way too. I'll hear a crazy story over here and a crazy story over here, and I'm like, oh, let's see what the real story is. And it's usually somewhere in the middle. So,
yeah, and I think with that, so how I approach my work in state government, because we have liquor. we have cannabis, we have state fire marshal, we have unclaimed funds, which is a huge story
That's
right
the
now,
top story
right?
right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I approach it from a place where I am very transparent and definitely handle the urgent in a way that is transparent and truthful, but also being wise to the messaging. And knowing when I say messaging, the pillars that we stand on here at the Department of Commerce, right? And so, yes, you can be transparent and truthful and direct and get the information out to reporters and to media, but you also can be cognizant of the great things your organization does and how to fit that message
Yes.
into the message of the moment.
Yeah, and it's cool to have basically that power to be a game changer for people, I would think too.
Yeah, you can be. And I think here, we're regulators, but we do so much for consumers. And so I was sharing more on like that responsive, reactive side, how I feel about making sure your messaging gets in. And I want to say, when I talk about messaging getting in, I think it's really important for organizations to have a foundational messaging document with what
Hmm.
they're about based on their mission, their vision, their values, and their goals they have for that year. Because if you have that, and I keep referring to this because my computer screen is here, but if you have that foundational document, answering the responsive questions or reacting to those headlines with reporters is so much easier when you have that. But on the proactive side, there's this incredible opportunity, or there was here and continues to be, to help consumers because we also have the Division of Financial Institutions. We license stockbrokers and investment professionals, right? And so there are so many things people need to know about AI scams right now
Oh
that
yeah.
come through securities. Financial institutions or state chartered banks. We license, register those banks. So we have like this treasure trove of information here. And so to be able to do that from the proactive side, I look at that. um it just there's so much good that can be done for consumers, but it all comes from that same foundation. What's your
I totally
mission,
get
your
all the
vision?
appeal of that. I really, really do. And I that has got to be in some ways a little bit addictive how fun it is.
Yes. Because we kind of run things like an agency, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you have your graphic designer, and not every business and company can do this. And maybe people can outsource it to vendors a little here and
Right.
there, but you have your graphic designer, you have your videographer, your social media coordinator, and then you have your PIOs that are working with media and working in the divisions to bring the content this direction to
Right,
us to
right.
the content plan.
So it's got kind of a little bit of creative attitude too, which is super
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that when you were very young, you loved to watch the news. But I would like to know what else did you do? What did you do? Like, let's say it's summer and your feet hit the ground. It wasn't race to watch the news or maybe get the paper. What did you do that was fun?
So when I was a kid, if I'm talking about the summer, we were at the park a lot. We had really great parks in central Illinois, like we do here in central Ohio. They were
Hmm.
certain parks, they weren't metros. I think, yeah, because some of those are outside the city, right? So I played, I took tennis lessons at the tennis court at the park. I was at that concession stand, for baseball games. Did a lot of riding of my bike within probably like a 3 mile area.
Yes.
Um, so a lot of that. And then went to the bookmobile a lot.
Oh,
And
that's the first
so,
time that's been brought up.
yeah, so this love of like information and really comes back to reading and writing originally, because that's the basis of storytelling. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would, so, but I feel like in some ways I was a strange kid. I would check out like a Sweet Valley High book, but I might be checking out Elizabeth Kubler-Ross on Death and Dying when I was like in 8th grade. But
Gotta have a
again,
little bit of everything,
a little bit of everything. I think there's also like a fascination, like in terms of like research of certain subjects, right? I think that, I was really into
Well,
near death
I'll
experiences. I don't
no, but
know.
I will write that off as just being a curious person. I mean, I think that, people kind of get down these rabbit holes. I'm like, no, I'm just really kind of curious about this, and I would like to get more information, So I think that that's a true thing, and again falls in line with what you ended up as far as a career path too. It is about curiosity and just learning and constantly be learning. And the best entrepreneurs, I think, are really good at learning. They just love it.
Yeah, and I will tell you the other thing, since you said that, the other thing that has been really great about this experience, and I can't say enough about it, is that entrepreneur mindset I took here to be an intrapreneur. And I would say
Mm,
that my director of this agency and her chief of staff assistant director, who's my boss, allowed me to do that. They
that's so
gave me
cool.
the space and the ability to give the communications team a 180. I don't want to get away from being a kid, but I just you said that and I just wanted to share that because you have to be really cognizant about where you're going and who allows you to do that.
Absolutely. Well, they knew they couldn't contain you. They can't contain Mikaela Hunt. Give her some space. We can't contain this. Now, were your parents like that? Were they well, you just said that they I'm assuming you watched the news with your parents, but were what was there anything like that you were modeling, I guess, that they were doing as you were growing up?
So my mom was a Spanish teacher for
Oh,
most of her
cool.
career. She became a hospice chaplain later, which is kind of interesting after
That
she
is
retired
interesting.
from teaching. But I was already married and she
Mm-hmm,
made that
mm-hmm. Like, I
switch.
love that kids are gone, but I'm still doing things.
Yeah.
Good for her.
My dad was a unexpected entrepreneur. So
Okay.
he went to school at Eastern Illinois University, which I know you know
Hmm.
where that is,
Hmm.
and he was going to be a teacher and a coach.
Okay.
But he was really good with his hands. I do not have that talent. And so he got into like woodworking and shop and things like that,
Oh
but
my goodness.
ultimately went to work for a lumber yard. And the owner of the lumberyard didn't have family members that were interested in the business, which this may be familiar to some folks who are in business.
Hmm.
And so Joe Gates took my dad under his wing. And with that, my dad learned the business. And ultimately, probably when I was in, I want to say fifth or sixth grade, bought the business from Joe, which was a hardware store, a lumber yard, a mill, and a roofing company.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah. And he had no background in business, right? And
Well, a lot
so,
of entrepreneurs don't.
no, they don't. And but interestingly enough, he was also a radio show host on the side. He had a show on Saturdays on a local news talk station called Around Your House, and he was like the Bob Vila
No
on radio.
way.
Yeah, you
Oh
had
my
to
gosh.
call Jeff at his lumber number. I mean,
Oh, that's perfect.
it was
That's perfect.
and he would take me in on Saturdays, and I think that also brought a little bit of that into my
Oh,
son.
absolutely. Seeing your
Um,
parents on the mic, I mean, oh, you'd say, I want to try that.
yeah, so that's I guess the parental connection and to that part of my journey. And he also was really involved in a community leader, right? And so he was president of Rotary at one point. I remember him like traveling over to Singapore for their international conference, but he also created this massive street celebration. He was on that initial board and the general manager of this Decatur celebration, this huge festival that we had downstate. That had about 300,000 people come to see all these different acts. I mean, we would have Boys to Men and other groups that kind of were past their prime, but still looking to
Yeah, they do like the fair circuit or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I do think a lot of that came from my dad, the involvement in community, the connection to some media as well. So yeah, that definitely he served as a role model for some of that.
Did you get to meet any of these celebrities?
I feel
You
like
say yes or no, but you don't have to say it specifically.
I met 38 Special. Um, Boys to Men was out of there like that.
Oh, they're like,
I'll
right,
tell
yeah.
you that. They were like
Where's
off
their
the
check? And
chain.
they got out.
And I'm sure there were probably some more. There's this one group. Yeah, walked a million miles. I wish I could think of the name of the band because you would know it. We met them. They were pretty popular, like in the late 70s, early
Yeah, yeah.
80s. So
One
yeah,
hit wonders coming through and that sort of thing.
yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And it's awesome that you actually had so many great role models in your life that you could just see a whole bunch of different ways to go. And I think you've tried all of them, by the way, the entrepreneurship, being the anchor person, being the journalist, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you've tried them all.
Yeah.
But it was great to have, kind of, like I said, people that you could emulate along the way. That's really neat.
Yeah, I sometimes I think about where we are kind of culturally and uh, making ourselves available to kids to see us in that way, whether you're just in your community or in your neighborhood. And sometimes I feel like, given where we are, people like to stay in their houses, and you can't do that for the next
No,
generation.
yeah, we have got to get more in touch with each other again, for sure. Um, The one thing that we did talk about off mic that I think would be super beneficial to people here too is that we were talking about how, essentially how your path can pivot along the way too, because, you did go to college for one thing and then you ended up doing something else. And I've done the exact same thing, but just how to be open to that, just to kind of see what you've learned along the way that can actually get you into something that is really different, what you might not even thought of.
Yes. So I was kind of forced into it because it was an unexpected ending to TV news for me. And I had loved TV news so much.
We
And
call it getting kicked out of the nest.
oh, I love that. Yes, I got kicked out of the nest.
Yeah,
Very
kicked out of the nest of news, yes.
and I think it's funny because in TV we talk about Q scores and all that good stuff, and mine were great. I just was not what a new general manager and what a news director were looking
It's
for.
very fickle,
Very
very
fickle.
fickle.
And so we love Columbus in Central Ohio, and my husband also worked at that TV station, so we didn't want to move.
Hmm.
So I was forced, but I will say this. I saw the signs before it happened that I needed to do something else. And I feel like we don't always listen to that. So pivots end up being forced when they don't have to be.
Hmm.
I remember I worked a very early morning shift. I was leaving the house at 3 in the morning.
Right.
And I remember driving in that last year, and I'd had kids. I was tired. We don't have family in state. And I remember like listening to music and trying and thinking, okay, you can do this. And that was weird for me because I loved my job so much. I was
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
emailing the producer while in bed. Did you see this story? Um, so there were signs like that prior to what happened in the summer of 2015 when I got kicked out of the nest.
Hmm.
And so I think I'm really big on synchronicity and the artist way for those who haven't read the book. I think you probably have.
Yes, yes.
It's an amazing book. I don't care what industry you're in. I'm really big on synchronicity, and I probably wasn't paying attention prior to that. And so pivoting, it's so important to pay attention to the signs because the signs might be indicating to you
Right.
that it's time to make a change.
Yeah. And um, it's the difference between having a soft landing when you do get kicked out, versus it being a hard one, which happens often because people get their identities get so tied up in their job. And then to suddenly somebody else decides, yeah, you're not doing that anymore. And you're like, well, then what am I going to do? But if you start thinking about, wait a second, I can do a lot of things. And you're like, but now I got to figure out what that my next thing is. And that's what brings me so much joy to hear what people did when they were much younger, because it's usually something that's kind of in their true passion. There's people that we know too that start with down a career path and they're like, how the hell did I get here? This is not what I want to do at all. I'm really good at it, but I don't, this is not my favorite thing. And when they can kind of really touch back to where, these are the things that brought me so much joy before. And now how am I going to take all that and then all the experience I've learned up until now to do the next thing? And the fact that you were in everybody's living room, like probably like 6 in the morning was huge. I mean, you didn't, may not have thought of that being the catalyst to get to you to where you are now. But I'm sure when you walked in, they're like, oh my God, Mikaela Hunt.
Was the case. It offered me opportunities to start my own business based on, again, those transferable skills and what you could do for
Yes.
a business. But it also got me into conversations. Even still to this day, people refer to it, and 10 years later, since it has been 10 years, I think I mean, I'm tickled gained a few pounds, changed a little bit. But with it, that people still remember that. Um,
Yes,
and it can get me into some conversation. So I'm really grateful for it. I didn't expect that to be the case 10 years afterwards, but I'm
right.
really grateful for it.
But the beauty, go ahead.
I,
Okay, I was going to say the beauty of that is that, who knew that you needed to do that first in order to do this now? And I've had many of those moments too. It's like for example, I worked for major Fortune 500 companies, for example. As an artist, I mean, with a BFA, I didn't never thought I would have that opportunity. And then also too, you're out like, how the heck did I get here? But if I had not done that, I would not have had the knowledge to start my own business because they taught me so much in that company that I was able to basically get a business degree, while I was there. And I mean that just like in the School of Hard Knocks, not that they
right.
paid for it, but but I couldn't. It's just such a layered effect that you're like you might think that, oh dang, this is not over, or I'm not maybe on the path that I want to be on. It's like, well, wait a second, you can always get back on the path, or what have you learned up until now, and now what are we gonna do with all of this? It's kind of exciting.
It is, but it can be so scary if you're not
It
ready.
can be too. It can be too, especially when you're like, you know. Not expecting it, I guess, in some cases. Or, like I said, sometimes it's scary though too if you know that you're on the wrong path too. You're like, I can't do this the rest of my life. What am I gonna do?
I've been fortunate because I know that happens, and I haven't. Again, I think you really keyed in on something there. It's not going to happen if you lean into what brings you joy. If you
Yeah.
set that as your foundation in your work, no matter what you're doing, you're going to feel good and not end up there. But I understand how people end up there. I
Oh,
do.
absolutely, absolutely. It's easy trail to go down for sure. But I always like to tell people, okay, well, this is just a reset now. What did you love doing? Let's see what you've done and how we can make that happen again too. So it's really kind of cool. And it also seems like that's kind of the path that whether you knew it or not, that's kind of the way you and did, your life turned out too.
Yeah. And as you're thinking through what could be next and what you would like to do next, if you continue just to lean into that
Yes.
and teaching and sharing, I feel like COVID got me. It was interesting because COVID, we weren't seeing each other, we weren't having events. I had been like teaching a little, talking a little prior to that,
Hmm.
and that kind of slowed down. I still like MC things, but I haven't
Right.
been teaching a lot, and I want to start getting back in virtually into that space, and I've started to work there because I really do love. Sometimes this based on the work that you do with professionals in the marketing space. I mean, there's a lot to marketing, and there's a lot of things that work and there's a lot of things that don't work.
Right.
And philosophically, based on what we've done here at Commerce, and we've won some regional awards, we've won a national award, we're up for another national award, we found out yesterday.
Oh,
It,
congratulations.
thank you. It's Reagan Communications, if you're familiar with that group. If you can really hone in on what you love and the ways that you have applied it, then I feel like you have something to teach. And that's where I am right now. Like, I feel like I have
Yes.
something to teach and share now. Post COVID, I mean, who knew COVID was coming? But
Who
I feel like
knew?
this is the season, right?
Yeah.
And now I feel like, wow, I know there's so much done with crisis comms. There's so much we've done with marketing campaigns that have worked. And
Yes.
so now it's time to like give that information to others from my lens. I mean, if they want it, great. If they don't, that's great too. But I feel like there's something there to teach.
I'm sure you have a ton of intel that people would love to be exposed to. So I think that's great.
I need more time. Let's do it. We're gonna try to figure that out.
All right. So, when you leave for the day, clock out, whatever, what is it that you do now for fun? How do you unplug? How do you relax? What do you do that's just not working?
So this is a really interesting question because I think that I'm an extrovert based on just knowing me. And so it's hard to like truly sit and not do much. But So I think
It doesn't mean not doing anything. I mean, what do you do that just you could be out like dancing all night for all I know, but
and actually, there was a hockey mom that would go out. I love this. She would have one dream and she would wear her tutu out one time a month and she does something in like computers. And I was like, good for you. That's your thing.
right, right.
Go have a beer and dance in your tutu at the goat. You do you. Um,
Nice.
so
Talking about.
Right. So, okay. So it's funny we were just talking about joy because I feel as though I spend my time doing things unplugging that bring me joy. And
Right.
so it's, like in the last week, you're gonna laugh at some of this. I saw Hamilton for a third time.
That's
Hamilton brings me joy.
It brings a lot of people joy. That is the best musical ever.
Ever. Yeah, I agree with you with that. Um, I switched from Phantom to Hamilton when I saw it. I was like, this is my favorite. But I also just raced our dogs in a wiener dog race.
What? That's awesome.
So that brought me joy. And we did it actually a few months ago for the first time. We have puppies, two dachshunds. And so we raced them for the first time a couple months ago. And the smiles on my husband and my boys' faces were just huge. I was like,
I can't even imagine.
we're doing this again. And Grace just came in third in the heats.
No way. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Um,
Natural.
so those are the things I do, like with best friends and family. Those are the things that I do. Theater, checking out a new place for cocktails, dinner, or
Yes.
racing wiener dogs. And if things get really quiet, I'm a person who will journal on my back patio with
Mhm,
like
mhm.
I'm like a homemade margarita kind of girl.
Nice.
Um, and so, but my husband also tells me that I'm really am watching more TV than I've ever watched. So I feel that's not really unplugging, but it's me like coming down from the day to watch something. So it's like a combination of those things to get my mind
Yes.
off of the work that I'm doing throughout the day.
And I love that you articulate it like that too, because I think people automatically think that, binge watching something is bad. I mean, if it's really what you need to unplug, I am 100% for it. I personally will do maybe a couple rounds of something like comedies, because for me, I like to end the day on a laugh. So I'm not watching horror movies or thrillers or things like that. It's like I want to end the day in a laugh, so I will watch maybe a couple episodes of whatever, sitcom I'm on and there's some older ones that I'll go back and watch because I just like I said, that is just my thing. For maybe an hour, I will watch something that makes me laugh, or it's got to have any more something that's just an enjoyable story. Um, and there's, the content is, well, it's getting really bad and it's getting really good. So if you can find those good ones, um, like I said, it's almost like reading a good book, in a way where it's like, this is a great story. That's what I really love. That's why I really would promote, like streaming something for sure. Don't make it your only thing. I think activity is a little bit better. And I love when people talk about cooking or going out or singing, in the shower or whatever. But yeah, I'm definitely not gonna diss some good um, streaming for sure.
What's your latest comedy that you're really loving?
I am going back and watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I've never seen it. I've heard it's really great.
Oh my word, it is insane. It's absolutely insane. And I also like Arrested Development. That's another one I really like. I like these quirky sort of shows. But yeah, and like I said, it's usually 30 minutes per episode, so I can decide how long I want to go. So, but usually I will go through two. And then I'm always a sucker for a home improvement show too. So yeah, because I like
Sense with your like artistry background, though, I can
that's
see.
exactly it. I will look at some of the stuff and get myself into trouble and be like, oh, I could do that.
And I didn't even think about it because I didn't have my dad's name.
Exactly, sometimes I've painted myself into a corner, to just stay with the theme there, um but most of the time or anymore I will say, oh, I know I have a great idea, and then I'll just hire a contractor and they can, make sure it looks perfect. But I just love the ideas that designers come up with and home improvement people and things like that. But that again, like you said, feeds my creative
Well,
100%.
and that's the thing. And I think about, skills and capabilities. And so I was talking to you about this. We have about a team of approximately 10 that does everything from soup to nuts when it comes to website to designing graphics for social media, media relations. The one background that I do not have, and I have tried and tried and tried to be good at, is graphic design. Out of all the
Interesting.
things I can write, I can deliver something on camera, on audio, I can edit, I can do crisis comms, I can put together a content plan and calendar. I struggle. I mean, it is not funny, Catherine.
Same.
Like, I can't do Canva. I really try. I cannot even do Canva. That's bad.
That, well, yeah, that they practically do it for you, so yeah, that would be. But it goes to show you that people are just really good at certain things, and if you just really, lean heavy into that, you will take off. So people that kind of get into jobs where maybe it's like, well, you have to do this, this, this. Oh, and graphic design, you'll be like, oh my God, I hate my job because of that one thing. But if you only let me do these things, then I'm gonna just blow the place up. So
Yes.
yeah,
And I know what looks, but the good thing is I know what
if you
looks
know what looks good. Yes.
aesthetically. I can work with a graphic designer, say, no, I want more of this, but I just
Right, right, right.
myself. And I do. I worship the ground my graphic designer walks on.
Yeah.
Like we're just finishing up the booth for the Ohio State Fair because that's part of the work we do.
Oh, fun.
And it is going to be spectacular. Like I can't get over how this is going to look
Fantastic.
because of our graphic designer. I mean, like
Oh,
she
so cool.
created the things and had the ideas of how things work together. And so she's created these pedestals with these, front facades, if you will, that have these, you take this quiz and then there's sound that goes off and you also hear the answer. But then she's also created like this flip thing that has to do with all the inspecting that we do and the auditing.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, those are two of many different things. Like that creative brain of a graphic designer is so essential for the communications process for
Oh, heck yes.
creators.
Yes.
Yeah.
I might have to swing by the fair if I can check this out.
We have a plane. It's so big that's hanging over our booth because we inspect jet fuel tanks, and this is part of what we do in one of the sections
Oh, wow.
at State Fire Marshal. We make sure your gas tanks are safe when they're installed in the ground. So you go to the gas station
Oh, cool.
to look at the tanks below ground.
Who knew?
State
There's
Fire
people that do
Marshal.
that.
Yeah, I know. We really do a lot of code inspection at State Fire Marshal, and that's one of the reasons we exist inside the department. They exist inside the Department of Commerce. But yeah, so jet fuel tanks, and so that's why we have the plane. So definitely
Very
go to
cool.
your building if you're there.
Well, I was going to ask, is that the same building as the Butter Cow?
It's not, but it's on the way to the better.
Okay.
And I can't wait to see what it is this year. I haven't heard any sneak peeks, but I'm very curious to hear what design is this year. Speaking of design, that is artistry.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. That they go all out at the Ohio State Fair, everyone.
Yes. There you go. There was their promo.
There's anything you thought could be fried, feel free to try it because they will have it. But yes, that is a big event here. But I'm going to wrap this up
Yeah.
because we could probably talk for another 3 hours, quite honestly. And we have covered everything that I needed to cover today. But I appreciate you being here so much, and I loved learning even a little more about you than I did. And just remember so vividly the one time when I saw you at an event, and I was like, oh, is the news here? And like, oh no, she's got her own business. Like, of course she does. Of course she does. It's so perfect. So perfect.
As we wrap, I've kept that LLC. I can
Oh,
only
you should.
on the
Heck yeah.
side because I
Yep.
do a radio show. I do CBuzz based off of that, and anything else that I do in the community where there is that, compensated portion of what I'm doing. So yeah,
Exactly.
everybody if you get out for a little while, right, keep that LLC.
Keep that in the pocket. Yep.
Keep it in the
Keep
pocket.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you again so much. I really appreciate talking to you today.
You're welcome. I had a great time.